Sugar Honey Iced Tea. It's the EAC Show.
Hey, ladies and gents, I'm Emilio A. Colon.
And I am Marcus Mack, and this is the EAC Show coming to you from sunny South Florida with episode 71.
Episode 71, Marcus Mack. Over the weekend, we had on episode 70, the big one, Cameron Dinnan. Cameron is always a joy to have on the show, Marcus. You know, get a lot of enthusiasm. It feels organic. It feels like just episode one all over again when we get Cam back on the show, Marcus. I can't wait to shoot in studio. How was your weekend, Marcus?
It was good, man. Spent a lot of time with my baby and, a lot of relaxing. As a matter of fact, we had a spa day. That's me and my daughter had a spa.
You got your nails done?
Yeah.
You got to put in those daddy duties, man. Those daddy duties are big.
She did my nails for me.
But we got an excellent show for you coming up on episode 71 of the EAC Show. Marcus Mack, we got a couple topics that we have to cover. We're going to cover, obviously, all of the talk with MLB. I've been on the phone all day. I'm going to give a little bit of those stories that I've been on the phone with about what's going on with this whole MLB and the Marlins team having games postponed because so many players tested positive. A little bit on Commissioner Manfred, your best friend's non-reaction or reaction to what's going on. Also get into a little bit of details about some of the phone conversations I've been having all day. We're going to talk a little bit about NFL football, and then we're going to discuss your boy, Mr. Iron Mike Tyson, going to fight Roy Jones Jr. in an exhibition bout. I think it's September 12th, Marcus? I think it is?
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken?
Yes.
I could be wrong. We could look it up in a little bit.
No, it's September 12th.
September 12th, yeah.
It's an 8-round exhibition fight. We'll talk about that later.
Absolutely. So we're going to get into the discussion that everybody's talking about. It was so exciting to actually have Major League Sports actually going on. I actually had something to bet on for the first time that I really enjoyed, Marcus Mack. I did have an up and down week. I'm going to sit there and say it was an L for me this week. I'm not going to lie. I'll be very honest with you. It was highs of highs and lows of lows. And then when it got to the lows of lows, it definitely got to the lows of lows. So this week wasn't a good weekend for me with baseball, but we can always bounce back. But it was good to have real sports on to bet on. And then, of course, COVID-19, like the bitch COVID-19's been this whole time, decides to stick his head out Monday morning, and sit there and say, okay, I'm here to mess everything up. The Miami Marlins had, I think if I'm not mistaken, 14 players test positive for the coronavirus, also with 2 staff members. And this basically puts baseball in kind of a loop. 3 games were canceled. The Phillies, the Yankees, the Marlins, the Orioles, and the Chicago White Sox game against Cleveland Indians was also postponed until tomorrow because they're waiting on results from their manager to see if he tested positive or not. But they say that game most likely is going to be played tomorrow as a doubleheader. So, Marcus, we have a little bit of a discussion here with this whole COVID-19. COVID-19 has not been a friend to our show or sports at all. It literally wants to just stick its head in every once in a while. So give me your opinion, Marcus, a little bit on what you think should be done, and I'll end up addressing some of the conversations that I had after I hear your opinion.
Well, what I think should be done as far as the COVID, I just think they need to test more often. With them testing and they're finding out people are testing positive, that's what the testing is for. So by all means, just keep testing. No matter how much you got to test, keep testing. If you got to test every day, every 2 days, then so be it. Say it takes 14 days for you to know what's what. It takes 2 weeks, right? So,
What, to see if you're positive?
No, it takes 2 days to see if you're positive. But to see if it's still laying dormant in your body takes 14 days. So, right. I think they just continue to keep testing. And if games have to be postponed, I think in the order that the games are set to happen, each team should be ready to go. And it had to be Miami Marlins. It just had to be Florida.
I'm glad you bring that up, Marcus, because I've been on phone calls all day. I've been hearing rumors, trying to confirm rumors. And once again, sometimes people like to come on the record on this show and sometimes they don't. So some of the rumors that I'm hearing is that it's kind of difficult to police some of these younger players on the Miami Marlins. So some guys, when they feel like they're invincible and they can go out and, nothing's going to happen to them because they're young or whatever it may be, or they don't take it as serious. That's the reason why this ends up happening. So you got some guys that didn't take the protocol really serious about just literally going to the ballpark and going right back into your hotel room and just staying there, whatever it may be. And you got infected and you infected others. And this is why all of a sudden there's an outbreak, because somebody's not running a tight ship, whether it's management, whether it's the higher ups in the Miami Marlins, or whether it's just literally the players taking lack of responsibility and doing what they're supposed to do. Because there's plenty of teams that are doing what they're supposed to do, and you're not seeing any positive results. To see this type of
it makes it difficult on the admin, on the administration, when they're doing the test and they're doing everything that they're supposed to do. And it makes it difficult when the players go and they do whatever they do, or the staff does whatever they do. And it's like, yo, you just got to follow the protocol just for a little while so we don't have to run into these types of problems, because it could just keep spreading and it keeps getting worse.
I can understand one person here, two people there, three, maybe four, whatever. Like, you separate everybody, you isolate them and you make sure it's just them per se. But to have that many players on a roster test positive for this means that somebody was being blatant, like literally, this is just being silly in all actuality. Now, that person might have not known that you had it or whatever it may be. That's fine. That's totally understandable because it's possible. But the thing about this, Marcus Mack, and what I found out today is, with this whole MLB situation, the MLB ended up agreeing with their players to save costs to test every other day and not every day. So that's why we're getting the numbers that we're getting, because Major League Baseball wanted to save a couple dollars and not test these players every day. And I totally and utterly disagree with that. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Now, mind you,
definitely MLB fault, not the players.
Listen to me. And you're the sport. You're the first major sport to play, and meaning like you're not in a bubble. So you got NHL that's in their bubble in Toronto or Edmonton. You got the NBA that's in their bubble in Orlando. You got MLS that's in their bubble in Orlando. Major League Baseball, they're playing these games in the cities that they're in. So you need to be more precautious, because you are jumping on flights and flying all over the place, and you're going to different cities. So if you want to be lazy, you don't want to follow the rules that have been put in place, stuff like this is going to happen, Marcus.
Yeah, definitely. They got to stay on top of this, man. This thing is very serious, especially since you got so many people fighting for the leagues to get back on the fields and get back on the courts. NBA is doing very well. NHL is doing very well. NFL is even doing very well. The cutting costs, me and you, we speak about this all the time as far as our cutting corners. Sometimes there's a difference between saving some money and being able to, to kind of expand on, be more efficient with the money that you spend. There's a difference between doing that and literally taking shortcuts. And this is one of those things that you don't want to take shortcuts on.
This is an expense that has to be, you have to spend the money. It is what it is. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Testing needs to happen every day. I mean, if you got one guy that tests positive, whatever it may be, if everybody else is testing negative, then okay, just isolate that person and keep it moving. But when you have that many players that test positive, it's going to spread. Now, mind you, COVID, and the way some of the people look at it, they look at it as, look, the numbers are going down, certain things are happening, people are living off COVID. Once you have it, you become, you have the antibodies for it, so most likely you're not going to get it again or whatever. But it's not about that. It's about passing it to elderly. It's about passing it to people that have respiratory issues or whatever it may be, or deficiencies, to where that stuff, your lack of care, can affect other people. So it's not necessarily just about you. It's about others as well, Marcus Mack. Now, mind you, like I said, since 8:30 this morning, 9 o'clock this morning, when this came out, my phone has been going off, text messages, emails, phone calls, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Marcus Mack, I'm letting you know right now, Major League Baseball is not going to shut down the season. They are going to play. If they have to do exactly what the MLS did, to where you had the FC Dallas and the Nashville teams, you basically eliminated them from the tournament and you let the tournament go on, that most likely will end up happening in Major League Baseball, to where they're going to sit there and they're either going to worst case scenario, eliminate the team that's completely infected, or they're going to bring in the taxi squad, which is the players that are still part of the team, but on the lower level that they kept around, and they're going to bring them up, and those players are going to have to play in place of the players that ended up being infected.
Yeah. We got to be a little bit more serious with this situation, guys. Especially, like I said, since we fought so hard, it's not just about the players; it's about the players' families. You understand what I'm saying? That's like the most important thing. Because essentially it's just like any other guy going out to work, and you catch COVID and you bring it home. These guys have kids, wives, mothers. You understand what I'm saying? Older fathers, stuff like that. And, we got to be more efficient with the way we spending our money. And I'm saying we because I'm saying everyone. But you got to be more efficient with the way you spend your money. No cutting corners, and and just take proper precaution.
I mean, look at us as a show, Marcus. I mean, when all this happened, we started socially distancing left and right.
Listen, we haven't been back in this. We've been back in the studio once for all of this. Once.
Yeah, we did once in the studio and once on a location when we interviewed Thomas. But other than that, we haven't done anything else. We literally been in our own little houses and putting this show together and making sure that we can create content for the viewers and the listeners as well. Marcus, I know we're going to talk about your favorite man. I had a couple phone calls about this guy today. Usually he's your Derlick of the day. I don't know if he's your Derlick of the day today, but your favorite boy, Commissioner Manfred.
The number one corporate thug.
So I'm gonna piggyback. I'm gonna piggyback a little bit off your corporate thug. I had some conversations today, and some people were a little bit upset, calling him the worst commissioner of all of sports. Basically saying how he's not really taking initiative. He needs to release a statement. Blah 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 blah. This, that, and third. I think Commissioner Manfred does what all lawyers do. They tell you as much as you need to hear, not what you want to hear, and that's the problem. So when people don't understand or people don't have a sense of what is the proper protocol when something like this happens, that's because I'm only going to tell you on a need-to-know basis. That's lawyer term, period.
Yeah. I mean, he already showed his colors with the negotiation as far as how the players are going to be how the players are going to be paid and everything. You see, he's going to keep it real quiet. You say gangsters move in silence. The only reason why he said something afterwards because he was like, "There's nothing you can do at this point, sir."
Exactly. So
there's nothing you can do.
He's not going to show his hand too early. So in this sense, Marcus, what Commissioner Manfred is doing, he's only telling you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. Right. So he knows, and they know
something.
He knows, and they know that they have protocols in place. They knew that this is probably was going to happen, and they know what to do with it. They're just going to let time drag out, release the proper PR statements. There'll be really, really polished statements, and that's it. Because only thing that's going to change everything is time. That's it. They're going to let time take its course, and eventually players, like right now, baseball is being played as we speak right now. That's it.
What are all the teams that tested? Was it just the Miami Marlins that tested, that had those positive testings?
Well, the Miami Marlins had the players that were positive. They test the Philadelphia Phillies, and the Philadelphia Phillies, who was the team that the Marlins were playing, they're waiting for their results to come back. And then the Phillies were supposed to play the Yankees today. And that game got postponed because the Yankees, and this is from my contact, the Yankees were like, we're not having it. We're not going back in that clubhouse where the Marlins were just in. We're not trying to get any of our players infected. We'll postpone this game. We'll play it at a later date or whatever it may be. But the Yankees were not trying to do any of that. And then the Baltimore Orioles
have the quarantine now.
Right. And then the Baltimore Orioles so happened to be down here already, said, F that, we're leaving Miami because we don't want to get caught up in none of this nonsense. You know what I'm saying? So they went back to Baltimore as well. So the reaction I got from some players, and this was one player's quote, was actually, "Oh, sugar honey iced tea, what do we do now?" And just because they don't even know what's going on. Like, they have no idea. They just know that they have to go out there and play ball unless they're told differently, Marcus Mack.
Yeah, well, I mean, do you really? Unless I just took that, if they're told differently, and I just took that and ran with it. But I think MLB is the only people that's running out of Florida right now. There's so many people that's coming to Florida. I have no idea why. Because between here and California, the cases are spiking. And it's like, it's such a shame to hear, to hear these cases and what's going on. But I hope everybody's okay. And hopefully in the next week or two, like I didn't think that MLB was gonna postpone like the entire season either, But I figured if that many people, you said what, 14 people?
14 people on one team, yeah.
14 people on one team? 14 people and then contact with what, 2 teams?
One
team. Okay. With contact with at least another group of people, it got to be postponed for at least a week, at least.
The thing is, Marcus, is that what they're going to end up doing is they're just going to end up testing more frequent, and just trying to play down the situation. So players are going to be pulled from games with quote unquote. They're gonna use the phrase non-COVID symptoms because they're unsure whether the person has COVID or not.
Open the
so
budget.
Yes, pretty much. So we have to remember that the commissioner of Major League Baseball is an attorney, and he's very smart when it comes to this stuff. This is right up his alley. He knows what words to say and what not to say. He's bad at interviews, but he knows what to release as a statement and what not to release as a statement.
And so, that makes him great at interviews. That makes him great because his PR is remarkable.
Well, because sometimes he puts his foot in his mouth too, Marcus. So don't forget about that. Remember, he said some dumb shit. He called the trophy a piece of metal. Remember?
Yeah, you're right. It makes me feel like he has no direct connection with the game at all.
None.
Just there, yeah. He's just
none.
There.
None. He's just a figurehead, Marcus Mackey. That's all he is. He's just a figurehead. So I mean, baseball's end up is gonna be played, and mind you, I took a field of phone calls today. I was texting left and right. I text these people more than I text my actual wife today. Like, she felt like left out. I had to tell her what was going on and be like apologizing and like, listen, I wanted to get some content for our show. And people do feel like Major League Baseball is going to be played. It's going to go on. There might be some adjustments that have to be made to the schedule, or there might have to be some adjustments that's made to the Marlins as a team in general. But other than that, they're still going to be playing baseball in some way, shape, or form, because no one wants to lose on the amount of money that has already started, because that train has already ran off the track, Marcus. The people are gambling. They're watching the games. The numbers are at an all-time high. So they don't want to stop momentum.
And that's the reason why. That is the precise reason why the entire season won't be postponed. Maybe a few games. Maybe a few adjustments to the Phillies and the Marlins. But not the whole season, because everything, there's papers that's been signed, there's ink that's been dried, there's money that's been exchanged. They can't do nothing now.
Major League Baseball, the gamblers, the touting companies, the sponsors, all these people want baseball to go on. They don't want no stoppage, because if it's stopped, then you slow the money down.
And that's even more reason for them to make sure that they spend the money where it needs to be spent. Test regularly.
Commissioner Manfred, make sure you're testing every day. Do more, go above and beyond. Make sure you get this right so you don't end up being Marcus Mack's Derlick of the day on Wednesday or Friday's episode 2.
Hey, Rob, open up the budget, Rob.
Well, this part of the show is going to be brought to you by our sponsor, elcubanosandwichshop.com. Use the promo code EAC and receive discounts on online pickups or delivery orders. Enjoy a cafe con leche or that natural pre-workout shot of that Cuban coffee to start your day. The daily lunch specials and their steak sandwich is next level. Once again, use the promo code EAC. That's elcubanosandwichshop.com or 954-906-5110. Remember, use the promo code EAC, and that's El Cubano Sandwich Shop. in Coral Springs. Marcus Mack, now we're going to switch it over. We're going to get into some NFL football. We're going to speak about another commissioner, but this commissioner is on the rise pretty much, Mr. Roger Goodell, Mr. I hug all the players. I do Zoom calls. I went from being, a bad guy to a good guy, like less than a year and a half.
Yeah,
so Roger Goodell.
Credibility was definitely questioned.
Yeah, say that again so they can hear you.
Roger Goodell, his credibility was definitely questioned, but he's trying his best to make up for any of his inconsistencies, and let's see what happens.
He sends a letter out to the NFL fans explaining the plans of the season. Now, this is exactly what Commissioner Rob Manfred did not do. And this is why you're getting the uproar. So basically, the NFL is learning from the mistakes that the MLB made. They're basically sitting there saying, look, COVID-19 is gonna come with some challenges. We're gonna have some adjustments that we have to make. And he's trying to basically break down and let the fans know, this is what we're gonna do. This is what we're gonna try to do. We're gonna try to get some fans there, maybe a portion. You all will have to wear masks. Blah, blah. He's giving an outline of what they want to do and then going from there, Marcus, which is 100% something that I agree with, because then when something hits you in the face, you have something to go off as a reference.
Yeah, they'll be testing daily, and they'll be strict, very strict on the players and strict on protocol, because they don't want to make the same mistakes, and they want this season to run smoothly.
Yeah, they want no issue. Now, mind you, look, let me explain something to you, Marcus, man. We're talking about two different sports here. We're talking about baseball and we're talking about football. Baseball, the guys are socially distanced. The only thing that really touches each other is like the ball, when you catch it or you throw it or whatever it may be. Other than that, the only time you're really, close to guys or whatever are in the clubhouse and stuff like that. You're really not on top of guys. There's no real physical contact. There is physical contact, but it's very minimal in baseball.
Not as much as NFL.
Not even close. Like in football, these guys are tackling each other. They're touching each other. Their saliva's getting on each other. They're sweating on each other. They're rubbing on each other.
Worst thing that could possibly happen is they trade jerseys.
Oh no, the morons who came up with that, the morons that came up with that stupidness is retarded. Oh yeah, don't worry about everything we've done for the last 60 minutes. For the next 2 minutes that you try to change jersey after the game, you can't do. You dummy.
The next thing you know, they're gonna say, listen, the entire game is gonna be straight punt returns. Let's see how many field goals we can kick.
Oh yeah, we're just gonna kick field goals to win football games.
Yeah, that's it. There will be no touching at all.
That'll be big for Pat McAfee and the brand for them boys. Them boys will love that right there. But Roger Goodell is doing the right thing. He's learning from the mistakes that other leagues are making and trying to make sure that he doesn't end up making those mistakes. So he sent a letter to the fans outlining certain things they want to do and they want to bring to the fans to be able to get them to understand that they're making an effort to bring the best NFL experience or the best NFL product they possibly could bring during this whole COVID-19 pandemic situation. Marcus, we want to shout out, I know what you called him, Raheem Mostert, Radio Raheem. Congratulations to Mr. Radio Raheem on restructuring his deal with the San Francisco 49ers. He ends up getting a deal. He ends up getting paid after his agent demanded a trade. This is real big, and this is due. You always want to pay somebody what they're worth. He outplayed his contract, obviously. He was an intricate part of that 49ers team, and he was not being compensated like it, Marcus Mack. I think you got the numbers in front of you. If you don't,
I'm actually trying to pull them up right now. My computer's acting crazy. If you got it on yours, read them up.
All right, so Mostert was due to make like $2.5 million when he had other running backs like Jared McKinney, Kyle Juszczyk, and Tevin Coleman making way more money than him. So he just wanted more of a salary bump per se. He didn't want to make the most money on the team, but he wanted to be paid right. And the San Francisco 49ers and his agent ended up doing the right thing, and he ended up getting paid. Now, Marcus, this is one of those situations where we discussed it back on a couple episodes with Thomas Jones, and he also said that running backs always look like the type that end up having to hold out to get their bread. In this case, Mostert didn't hold out to get his bread. But he did demand a trade. He said, get me out of here because you guys aren't compensating me properly. So it seems like these running backs have to do the most just to get their money.
Yeah. like I said, I felt like the running back position has become it hasn't become expendable, but it's become viewed as expendable. Why? I do not know. And I remember talking to when we spoke to Thomas Q. Jones, he said, he was like, it feels like it's not just running backs and that it's expendable, because it's still a very powerful, important piece on the team. It's not all of them. It's almost like it's just the African American running backs, which, of course we're not going to go in that direction, but it's like, whatever it is, if you don't just say, you know what, all right, I won't do anything until you give me what I need. You understand what I'm saying? In this particular scenario, he didn't necessarily have to go to that extent. So shout outs to his attorney, his agent, and the people that he has talking for him, because they definitely went all out for him.
It's very rare, Marcus. So what ends up happening is like, you really see these conversations with these football coaches or these GMs that actually go into an off season and say, you know what, Raheem, we got to take care of him. Let's try to figure out a way to take care of him. Let's do right by him. Let's get this done. It's very rare. I think the only two deals that we saw that with so far this year are Christian McCaffrey's deal and Patrick Mahomes' deal. Everybody else has been fighting for their money. You got Delvin Cook, who's still fighting for his money. Chris Jones, who was on the Kansas City Chiefs, was fighting for his money until Mahomes left money on the table to get the deal done. Everybody, it seems like everybody in some way, shape, or form has to fight for their own.
I mean, I want to say that's what you're supposed to do, but I just don't think that they should have to go to the extent that they are going just to get their just due.
I mean, it almost seems like, Marcus, it's a tactic more than anything else. Like, yo, you don't want to give me what I deserve? All right, trade me. Get me out of here. It just happened recently to Jamal Adams. Jamal Adams with the New York Jets didn't feel like, he was being valued in New York, and he wanted to be paid like a top player. New York doesn't see him as that. They don't see him as a franchise top player. And all of a sudden, he started spreading all types of rumors and starting so many different things or whatever it may be through the organization. And the organization just felt like, all right, enough, and they ended up trading him. And they sent him somewhere with some.
It's not like these particular players aren't performing. It's not like they're not producing. These players are producing. So what is it? What is it? It has to be something. What do you think? You think it's the teams
they just don't value them that high. That's how I feel. I feel like, okay, at the number that we agree to, you're okay. But at a number that you want, that's unrealistic for our plans. That's what it is, Marcus. It's like if you buy a home, you like your home, whatever it may be. Then all of a sudden you get a girl, she comes in. She's your girl for a couple of years. She ends up being your fiance, and she wants to come in, and now she wants to redesign the home. Okay, we can redesign the home, babe. What do you think? Now all of a sudden she starts giving you plans, and you're like, whoa. Wait a minute. Wait. This is a little bit high on the budget. What are you doing? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, right. This don't make no sense. That's basically how I can explain it so people will understand. Basically what's going on with a lot of these players, that the team doesn't value them as much as they value themselves.
But
sad.
So do you think it's these teams that don't value them, or do you think it's just that particular position? Because I remember when we looked, it was all running backs that was having this.
No. It's the running backs are the most undervalued, in my opinion. Right. But it does happen at other positions as well. Guys do end up holding out in some way, shape, or form. But it does happen. Majority of the time, it does happen at the running back position. So shout out to Raheem Mostert, Radio Raheem, for getting his deal. Well deserved. Here on the EAC show, we're always pro player. We're always players getting their bread, getting their money.
We're pro getting paid. Get your money.
Absolutely. Get your money. Before we get into the last topic, Marcus Mack, big shout out to our boy, friend of the show, Sean Anderson, who balled last night for the San Francisco Giants. We posted that on our EAC page, Marcus Mack. And if you get a rip of it, we'll rip it later and we'll post it on our actual page. He was dealing last night, straight fastballs, sliders. Guys couldn't even hit him. They were on the telecast just talking great about him on the telecast.
Big shout outs to Sean, man. We giving out that arm all season.
strength in that arm all season. Now, Marcus, we're gonna get into your favorite athlete, your man, Mike Tyson.
Just for the record, I would love to see him fight Shannon. I would love to see him fight the Cannon, man. That's two Brownsville natives. You know, I would love to see him fight, but I don't think that's really gonna happen. So he's set to fight Roy Jones on September 12th in an 8-round exhibition fight.
So Mike Tyson was extremely adamant. I saw him on he was speaking, I think, with Max Kellerman. He was extremely adamant about doing it at this age. Max was extremely worried about their health, their well-being. You know, you guys are competing at such a higher age. Like, you know, are you guys going to be able to take care of yourselves? And Mike was like, look, man, I'm motivated. I want to motivate others. You know, I just don't want to sit here. I don't got to sit here and just be retired. I can sit here and make stuff happen. This is an 8-round exhibition. We're professionals. We've been top-class fighters for a very long time. We know how to take care of ourselves. So Mike Tyson had the great answers for what Max Kellerman's concerns were. But Marcus, what do you really think this fight is going to be? Do you think this fight is going to be something like, you know, this is cool to see Mike out here throwing punches, Roy Jones out here throwing punches? Or do you think it's going to end up getting too competitive while in the ring? And this might turn really bloody.
They're both, let's make this very clear. They're both incredible fighters. I think champions. I think, let's make this also very clear. I think Tyson will wash the floor with Roy. I think he's gonna mop the floor with him. I just want to get that out there as well. But I think Mike Tyson has the right spirit. I think he has the great spirit. He said, man, you know, yeah, I'm older, but that doesn't mean, you know, this is the same man that was taking care of pigeons on his roof. You know what I'm saying? Planting. And he's definitely reached a milestone in his life. This man, we're talking about from very rough beginnings. We're talking about a man that would go out to parties and be knocking dudes out. He's a different man now. We're talking about he's come out of he's gone into himself, and now he's come out of himself. Even when you see different interviews that he does, you know, he has the hot box where he interviews, you know, different celebrities or different boxers or whatever the case may be, and you see more into who Mike Tyson really is and who has.
And he smokes weed every day.
Regularly. But when you look into who Mike Tyson has become, he's definitely a different man. So I think this right here is part of him evolving, getting back into the ring, and, you know, an exhibition fight. This won't be going on his record. This won't be, you know, we're gonna do this. We're gonna have some fun, but he's gonna. It's gonna be pure.
It's gonna be pure enjoyment, Marcus Mack.
He's going to spank him like his child. That's what he's going to do. I'm sorry, Roy Jones. You know, but how old is Roy Jones? Anyways, yeah, I know Mike Tyson.
I can look it up. Hold on one second. We're definitely gonna look forward to Mike Tyson fighting Roy Jones Jr. on September 12th. Brownsville finest going out there to show what he can do for the fans. Roy Jones Jr. 51 years old, by the way. So
51?
Yeah, 51 years old. So we're definitely gonna look. We're definitely gonna look forward to Mike Tyson fighting Roy Jones Jr. I think I got Mike Tyson as well. I just, you know what? I've never seen Mike cool, calm, and collective. So in all actuality, I just feel like this exhibition has a chance of getting a little bit out of hand and extremely competitive and turning more into an actual fight than an actual exhibition.
Nah, I mean, you know, there's nothing personal, but this is Iron Mike we talking about. This is Tyson.
Yeah.
This is gonna be. It's gonna get. Yo, listen to me. First of all, they're not even the same weight class. Never been. It never will be. Right. So, you know.
Wait, I think Roy Jones fought a couple. He fought a couple fights at heavyweight.
He was light. He was light middleweight, and he won a title for light heavyweight or something like that. But
so he was never a heavyweight, right? Okay, I got you.
Never heavyweight. Right?
Got you.
So, you know, but Tyson, just even his fighting style, everything. Tyson is going to beat him
Right.
like his firstborn son. He's going to beat him like a Cherokee drum. Bro, listen to me. He's going to beat him like Timberland's and Neptune's drum machine. Listen, he's going to spank his boots. Bottom line.
That's going to conclude episode 71 of the EAC Show. I'm Emilio A. Colon. That is Marcus Mack. Click, like, subscribe on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. And we'll check you out episode 72. Marcus Mack, sign us off.
Speculation talk over.
Oh, sugar honey iced tea. It's the EAC show.